Now, if you live in Nairobi, there are some observations you've made while moving around or buying something. You'll notice that almost every street you pass, every shop you go, around 5 out of 10 shops are owned by Somali. And around 20 years ago, even 15 years ago, most of the shops in Nairobi were owned by the Kikuyu. That is not the case at the moment. And many people are wondering, where did the rain start beating the Kikuyu community? Yet they have been producing presidents, they have been top there, and they've been doing business. And now, where it has reached, the Somali community is going to overtake the Kikuyu in doing businesses in Kenya. And actually, I'm one of the people, when going to buy items in Nairobi CBD, I specifically buy from the Somali. Most of the time, of course, I buy from other people, but I find the Somali are genuine and they attend to you in a polite way and they are real. So there's so many reasons why the Somali have overtaken the Kikuyu in businesses, are actually going to overtake. Of course, the Kikuyu are dominating. So I'm going to touch in various industries. Now, the first one is the real estate industry. The real estate industry. Now, let's talk about apartments. If you go to Nairobi and you start looking for a place to live, you want a 2 bedroom house, you go to a house owned by a Kikuyu and another house owned by a Somali. You realize that the one owned by Somali is very spacious, very neat, and the finishing is generally good. But if you go to one owned by Kikuyu, it was built hurriedly, the space is squeezed, and even the tiles, you might find each room has got different types of tiles. It's as if they go to the hardware and they buy the remnants, the remains, those ones which were rejected. Now they come and fix here and there. You find the house is highly disorganized, not appealing at all. Just go to most estates in Nairobi, Pipeline, Dandora, Kayole, and look at those houses, how they are built. Go to Isli, where houses are built by the Somali, very decent houses. So it reached a time where the Kikuyu were actually worshipping money. They don't look at the quality of the items or the product they offer. Again, the real estate, right now, if you go to buy land, most real estate companies are owned by the Kikuyu in Nairobi. And look at the scams in the land sector and see the names of those ones who are involved. 99% of them are the Kikuyu. So if the Somali starts buying and selling land, I'm 100% sure people will stop buying from real estate companies owned by the Kikuyu because of the previous scams. I'm not saying that all the companies are bad, but majority of them which have scammed other Kenyans gives a bad picture about companies owned by the Kikuyu. Now go to town, especially hotels. The hotel industry is dominated by the Somali, Of course, we have some Luos and the Kisis, which own some hotels. But most restaurants are owned by the Somali. Now we have Black Americans, we have Chinese, and other citizens, other foreigners. So those hotels are full. Sometimes back, nearly all the hotels in Nairobi were owned by the Kikuyu. But now, the Somali dominate this industry. Now, how did it start? You know, this news that we watch that someone in a Probok has been found with 20 slaughtered donkeys, which were being transported to Nairobi. Someone was selling cat meat. He has slaughtered cats, a cat, which he was using to make samosa or sausages. Someone has slaughtered dogs. So you find that in most butcheries, which were owned by Kikuyu, not all of them, but most of them, it's very hard to trust the meat that is being sold there. Now, there was a time I was moving in Nairobi, in several butcheries. They were telling me that nowadays they order meat from which is slaughtered by the Somali. You know, the Somali are very honest. If they're selling beef meat, it's beef meat. And what is shocking right now, if you go to various places in Kenya, you find that if a cow gets sick and it's about to die, they treat it and they find that it will not recover. They actually sell that cow to be slaughtered. Even if that cow dies, they don't bury it. Most of them. Of course, there are others who bury. There are others who are decent. So that cow finds its way to butcheries. That's why when you buy meat, beef meat, you go to boil, you find foam, a lot of it. It means it is not from. Now, when it comes to hotels, you go to a hotel, you order meat, and you realize that the meat you are eating is not fresh. So they don't throw away food, even if it has been there for 2 weeks. They keep on recycling. So that is another reason. But if you go to hotel owned by Somali, just go to Kilimanjaro restaurant, other restaurants in Nairobi, you find that anything you eat there is very fresh. That is the reason. Go to electronics, go to Ludhuli Avenue. You are going to buy, for example, a TV, a television. If you find two shops, one owned by a Somali, another one by a Kenyan, let's say a Kikuyu, now you realize that a shop owned by a Somali, there's a very huge line. The other shop owned by a Kikuyu, there are no customers there. It is because of the past experience Kenyans have gone through. You buy a TV, they're telling you 32-inch TV is 27,000. Now they go and test there. You allow them to go and package the other room. They go and package the wrong one, not the one that you bought. They package a second one and second-hand TV or 24-inch TV, a small one. So when you go without even checking, you arrive at home, you realize it's not what you bought. When you bring it back, you know what happens? They'll never allow you to return it. They'll tell you that you went and changed that TV. So that's what happens. The Kenyans lost trust. Or sometimes when you buy a phone, you buy from a shop, When you take home, you reach home, you realize it's not a genuine phone, or inside that box it's clay, not even a phone. That is what is happening. And this is what the Somali came to solve. Now, business in Isili is booming. It is because they sell genuine things, they're very genuine, honest, and they're very cheap. You go, for example, a black American has gone to buy something from a shop owned by a Kenyan. The price of that item is 10,000 shillings. But once that person realizes that this is a black American, maybe doesn't know the price, he states, he increases the price. He exaggerates the price. Instead of telling them 10,000, he says 25,000 shillings. So, but if it's a Somali, if it's 10,000, it's 10,000. And one thing I like about the Somali people is that their profit margin is very small. If they purchase an item for 1,000, they'll sell it for 1,200, just getting 200 shillings only. So that is what happens. In that Kenyan shop, if the item is 10,000 and they realize that this person does not have money, you look like someone who does not have money, they have come to buy, they will tell you 10,000 shillings. If they realize that you have money, 25,000, 30,000. This trend is even in the matatu industry. I wish the Somali will start business in the matatu industry. The normal price, the normal fare is 100 shillings. But when they see rain, 200 shillings. The price is not constant. So they like exploiting. That exploitation culture is what has made the Somali to thrive. And in the next few years, they will dominate almost all the industries. Almost all the industries. And this also happens in the online business. If you purchase an item online in Kenya, unless it's from a company owned by a foreigner, a Mzungu or a black American, those people who have the culture of honesty, you are likely to be scammed by a Kenyan. You'll pay for an item, they deliver wrong one, or they don't deliver. They block you and disappear. That one has been happening. They're not honest at all. That's why foreign companies, when they set up online business in Kenya, they succeed very fast because we trust them and they deliver what you purchase. So there's a time I went to buy something, a turkey cloth. You go to buy turkey cloth, you find that that shop does not have the particular cloth that you want. So they tell you wait until tomorrow. They just go and shop from Isili. And no, in Isili we have original and the second hand. They go and buy the second hand and tell you they have the cloth. So when you go to buy, they sell you the price of a genuine or original cloth. Second hand is they buy for 1,200 and they sell it for 7,000 shillings. So when you go to wear, after 1-2 months, it has faded. So The Somali and the Black Americans have the opportunity to succeed in almost every sector in Nairobi is because of our dishonest culture. And that is why the hotel industry, even retail industry, is booming. Even real estate. Right now in Isli, the Somali are buying land or the old the old buildings. They build new ones, modern ones. They have gone to South B, South C, and they're going to Eastlands. So that culture of exploitation is going to end. And this is the reason why the Somali are slowly overtaking the Kikuyu in businesses. And not even in businesses alone, even in politics. If you're very keen, you'll notice that the Somalis are fixing themselves in critical political positions. And who knows, in the next 20 to 30 years, we may have a Somali president in Kenya. So, if, of course, the Kikuyu and other local communities, they have the opportunity to rectify the mistakes. But if they don't do it in the near future, then they will not own any business in Kenya, or they'll never have customers.